Hi, welcome back to Tammy Talks About. So yesterday in the video from the article in Pop Topic, we talked about that there is a 22-page report, and I told you that if I could find it and if I could download all of it, we would go through it. Well, here we are. So before we get into today's video, you know the drill. If you like this video, leave me a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know what you're thinking. And of course, most importantly, share not only my video, but anybody's video who's out there telling the truth. And in fact, go support Pop Topic. They're one of the very few mainstream media organizations that are not, well, they don't have their lips permanently tattooed to AH's nasty butt. They, from the start, have looked to tell the truth. And that is very rare, especially in mainstream media. That's why it is so important to share the videos of anyone telling the truth, because here's the thing. Warner Brothers use the excuse of, we couldn't handle the PR of firing a woman who might have possibly been the victim of DV. Yet they fired Johnny, who, without a doubt, unequivocally, is the victim of DV. Think about it. This is a man that has been verbally, physically, and mentally abused. There is enough proof out there that shows that this most certainly did happen to him. Yet it was okay for them to fire him. But it's not okay for them to fire her, who might be, as they say. Really? We're talking about you have kept, and not only kept, but rewarded and will now be paying a woman millions of dollars who put a cigarette out on his face, who cut the tip of his finger off that he had to have surgically reattached, went through, I think, 3 bouts of MRSA afterwards, who, as I said, was physically, mentally, and verbally abused. And then, as just a cherry on top for her, she turned around and accused him of the very things she did to him. And not only accused him of it, but made it public. This cost him jobs. 4 days after the op-ed, he was let go from Disney. He's been let go from Warner Brothers. He lost his job in Fantastic Beasts 3, I think. And according to mainstream media, nobody in Hollywood's willing to touch him. We've got to put a message to the world. This is not okay. Men are victims too. And we can't just take someone's word for it. There has to be proof. But in this case, there is proof, yet they're still taking her word for it. That's why it is so important. It's not just to help my algorithm. Yes, it helps. But that's not the only reason I say share these videos. It's not the only reason any of us say share these videos. It's to get the truth to as many people as possible. So I urge you, because, the thing is, it's you. It's you that are getting the message out there. All any of us can do is tell you the truth. It takes you watching the videos, it takes you sharing the videos, it takes you getting on your social media pages and letting people know the truth. And that's more and more people that are finding out that this is a nightmare and that a victim is being made to be the villain. And for what? Money? Greed? That's not right. And see, Warner Brothers is counting on that you will forget about this by the time Aquaman 2 comes out, because this made them over $1 billion. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is their biggest movie ever. Don't forget about it. Take that money that you would have spent for the cost of a ticket. Donate it to places like CHLA or the Art of Elysium, the charity owned by Jennifer Howell. We've got to give Warner Brothers a statement. And our statement is that you will not get a dime of our money as long as you keep that abuser, as long as you continue to reward her and you continue to charge the victim. See, it's not okay We've got to let them know that it is not okay to fire the definite victim of abuse when it's a man, and it's definitely not okay to keep the perpetrator of abuse when it's a woman. If you live near a Warner Brothers studio, do the same thing Unbox PhD did. Do not ever don't approach anyone. Don't do anything violent. You can peacefully protest anywhere. And there's nothing they can do about it. But see, that gets attention. That gets mainstream media. They have to pay attention. But anyway, that's my rant. We're going to quickly go through this. I just want to hit some highlights because this is 22 pages. So, this video would be an hour long if I don't just kind of quickly hit some highlights, especially since I wasted the first 5 minutes ranting. This is on page 6. Who took the photos? In NGN's closing statement in the UK trial, 5 photos were included with the metadata showing them all to have been taken at 21:31. Now I want you to remember 21:31 because we're going to scroll on through this because a lot of this is stuff we went through yesterday, and it's also they take excerpts of the testimony by A.H., Josh Drew, and Raquel Pennington where they placed theirself in testimony under oath that they were there when these photos were taken, that this scene was not staged, and that they took the pictures. In fact, A.H. and Josh both say they took all the pictures. So, and that's what they got on several pages here. But I want to skip on down to page 9. The first 2 LAPD officers to attend the property were Officers Saez and Haddon. Camera footage from the elevator shows them to arrive at penthouse level at 21:05 and to have left just before 21:20. Wait a minute. And now within that time, both officers carried out a sweep of Penthouse 5 accompanied by Mr. Drew, and both officers were categorical during their respective depositions on 18th July 2016 that there was no damage or signs of damage or spilled wine within the penthouse. And then the next several pages are those officers' testimonies during depositions. And they conclude, self-evidently, either the 2 police officers were lying about the damage, or A.H. or Ms. Pennington and Mr. Drew were lying. The answer to that question is given clearly by the photographic proof seen in the 2 photos showing A.H. and Mr. Drew having staged and embellished the damage seen on the quarter landing. And so, further evidence to support the fact that the damage was not present during the officer's sweep of Penthouse 5 is given in the metadata of those same photos, which shows them to have been taken at 21:31, some 12 minutes or so after the 2 officers had left the apartments. In fact, the earliest photograph of any alleged damage was taken at 21:25 in Penthouse 3. And the first photo of any damage to Penthouse 5 was taken at 21:27. Something's not right. And then they go over the next couple of pages. They talk about Judge Nickel, and they say, in his judgment, Judge Nickel summarily dismissed A.H. taped confessions of her violence toward Mr. Depp, citing in respect of her contemporaneous evidence that no great weight is to be put on these alleged admissions by A.H. to aggressive violent behavior. It is trite to say, but nonetheless true, that these conversations are quite different to evidence in court. However, the judge summarily dismissed the evidence of the 2 police officers, contrarily citing that it is noticeable that the officers took no contemporaneous notes. The absence of contemporaneous notes means that their evidence does not carry the same weight as it would otherwise. He did this despite having already disparaged contemporaneous evidence, and despite Officer Saez having appeared in court to give evidence, as was the judge's preference. Judge Nichols also refused the claimant's wish that Officer Haddon appear in court to give evidence, and thereby he not only denied the oral evidence of the only other independent witnesses, but also denied himself the very opportunity to scrutinize the witness as he claimed was so important. The judge took 3 months to reach his judgment, yet in that time he evidently did not scrutinize the photo evidence to a standard that enabled him to see the clear staging of the scene between the two photos of the quarter landing. Was the metadata altered? As shown earlier in this document, NGN's closing statement in UK trial indicates that 8 photos were all taken at 21:31, including the 2 shown of the quarter landing. It's not only near implausible that the 8 such photos could have been taken within the 1 minute, but near impossible that all 8 were taken within the same minute, and even less possible when considering that within that same time, the scene was further embellished by adding wine spillage and removing and replacing glass fragments. This raises the question of the very real possibility that the photo metadata had been doctored. Unfortunately, the photo times shown in NGN's closing statement do not include seconds. However, the metadata would certainly have been altered on the 2 photos of the quarter landing if the photo with the wine spillage was taken before the one where the spillage is missing. To better determine the possibility of the metadata having been doctored, it is necessary to establish the location of all 5 photos shown in NGN's closing statement. And then the next several pages, they show a diagram of where these photos in NGN's statement was. And they go over some evidence. And what I'm going to do is kind of stop right there. I do want to... I want to go over this one last part, and then we're going to stop right here, and I will leave a link to this in the description so that you can go and look at this yourself. But they say, on day 12 of the UK trial, Ms. Laws asked AH if she had altered the photos in regard to Incident 12, to which AH replied that she did not know how to. The same question would have also been asked of Mr. Drew, who testified to having taken all the photos of the damage on the 21st May incident. Nonetheless, the altering of metadata, or EXIF data as they have in quotations, on both iPhone and Android mobiles involves no more knowledge or skill than knowing how to download any one of the many appropriate apps. And as I said, I'm going to leave a link to this in the description, because then they get into the magnum size bottle of wine, and they get into several other things here. And like I said, if we go over all of this video will be, an hour long. So we're gonna stop there, and I may do another video on the second half of this, because it does get into the body cam footage and so on. But I just wanted to kind of start going over that with you and just kind of point some of this stuff out. It's extremely important. And I am so glad that Pop Topic did this. And, share all of this. Share this on all your social media. This is so important. And, it represents everyone who has survived DV. To then have the further heartbreak and just nightmare of being accused of what the person did to you. My God. Johnny's a very strong man. He has to be. That would probably break me. But, I've ranted enough today. I just wanted to go over some of this with you, and we'll see. I might do another video on it. But I'll definitely leave links so that you can look at it yourself. And as always, until next time, be blessed.